Touchdown Tampa Bay. You're listening to the PewterCast.
Welcome to the PewterCast. I am Brent Allen, your host. You are joining us here on our off-season tour as we continue to stay, I guess. Actually, yesterday we rolled into One Buck Place yet again, and we stayed there yet again today. It is mandatory minicamp. We were able to be there for day one, and thanks to some special generosity, we were able to be there for day two. Ren Daxt is with me, as always, a man who I'm a little bit jealous of tonight because he got to go and I didn't. Ren, how's it going, my friend?
It's going great. It was fun. And you should be more jealous. Not only did I get to go twice, I got to go to the first practice the public was ever allowed to see in the indoor facility.
I hate you.
That's nice.
I'm going to mute your mic from now on. You just don't even talk. No. So got to go to the indoor practice facility. That was cool. Of course, you and I actually got to go there a little bit earlier this summer.
Yeah, we've been inside it.
We have, but not certainly for a practice. So we actually have something about that'll be coming out here as we enter this long, dark night of the NFL season where there is nothing happening at all. We'll release that episode here over the next couple of weeks where we talk about that first experience. But Ren, yesterday you and I got to be there together. Afterwards, we went out to the press box and we were able to sit down and record a pod just kind of on the back end talking about the first day. But I'm kind of sitting in the seat of everyone else who's going to be listening to this pod of, I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. All I could see was what, came through Twitter feed and what videos and pictures people were tweeting out. So, man, talk to us about today. You were at, was this a planned indoor facility day?
Scheduled practice?
Yeah.
No, it was not. First, I want to go ahead and like you said, special generosity. Thank Alan. You've been in contact with him for a while, and since there was, more fans being invited, he got me in today to go see practice. I had to go through the guard gate, and he came down and got me and walked me through. But when he was walking me down, you'll know where this is, down by the media room, how the media guys get in.
Mm-hmm. That little like corridor on the side of the building.
Yeah,
but they
all
don't
the way
go
to
through
the
the
right.
front door. Yeah.
No, yeah, all the way to the right. There's like a door just for the media guys. Mm-hmm. And we walked past that. He walked down the field, and and we look, and there's just a bunch of camping chairs, a bunch of lawn chairs, but they're all empty. Mm-hmm. And you see a little stream of people sort of heading over towards the indoor facility, and some of the Buccaneers are cutting across the field going to the indoor facility. And Alan was like, I guess we're going indoor. Apparently there was lightning in the area.
Okay.
So it was a last-second change. They're like, everyone get up, let's go to the indoor. And someone who has been to over a few dozen Buccaneer training camp practices, mm-hmm. In June, July, not really July, June, August, it's hot. Well, yes, July. Sorry, and it doesn't matter. It's hot. and
January, February.
And walking into the indoor facility, it was nice. It was nice to see. You're a lot closer. It feels more intimate. Mm-hmm. The crowd sounds louder because it's indoors, and mm-hmm. It was just it's just one of those things where you always sort of like, I wonder what it's like going to be, and what's going to be like to watch a practice in there. And I got to see it today, but it was, as far as comfortability wise, mm-hmm. it was 100%. It's nice. It's fun.
So, yesterday I think I estimated about 200 people there. You thought it was about 300 or 400 people there. As I understand, there was quite a few more people there today. But if I remember right, the seating capacity of the indoor facility was like 3,500 people. Like, right. Did it feel full at all being there in the indoor facility today?
Well, it matters where you sat.
Okay.
Because pretty much what happened was everyone – well, this is what I think happened because, I got there – I was probably the last third of the people to get in there. I think everyone went to the 50-yard line and started sitting down, and then it started filling up back towards the door.
Sure.
So, and then, as the last third come out, they're like, you can go all the way down to the end. There's plenty of seating.
Right.
And so that's where I went, and then that started to fill up. So I moved a little further down, and then they have end zone seating as well, and there was very few people in the end zone seating.
Okay.
That's where I took most of my videos because they were down on that end,
Right.
Doing the red zone drills.
Literally the red zones.
Yes, the red Buccaneer end zones. I'm not a huge fan of those. Everyone else loves them. I get it. You're allowed to. I'm not gonna fight you on that. It's just I don't like them. That's
like
it.
them for the record.
I know you do. Yes, you and everybody else. I get it. No problem.
I also don't mind wearing another man's name on my back. So
that's true.
You have a problem with that, so whatever.
Yeah, to each their own.
Yes.
But yeah, there was indoor restrooms was nice. Near the end of practice, I was looking for a hot dog guy or a pretzel guy. I was a little hungry, but
did they have the icy pop girl out today, or
they did not?
No.
Not that I saw. No icy pop, no water.
Oh, really?
But they did have them on the way out.
Okay.
On the way out, it was they were pre-cut.
Oh, the icy pops?
The icy pops were pre-cut.
I wonder if had you been outside the whole time, they would have had them
pre-cut.
No, just the guys walking around, like if they would have had them had you been outside, like because I can imagine it's your brand new training facility. I don't want sticky, icky stuff all over the red and green and blue and some weird unidentifiable yellow color, all over my brand new indoor facility. So I could see that, but. So paint the picture for us. So you're in the indoor facility. You said you were spending a lot of your time in the end zone. I think I actually saw one of your videos. You were fairly close to the players, it seemed.
Okay. Well, yeah, they start off. I'm sorry, you're gonna finish.
Well, I was gonna say so much so that like they came and sat in the stands with you. It looked like.
Yeah. They always start out with their calisthenics, and then. When they're doing that, I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, like where am I going to sit? I don't want to be around a lot of people because I'll be standing up and sitting down, taking videos and pictures and stuff to be able to tweet out. And then I see Coach Buckner is in the end zone, and there's bleachers like basically he's catty cornered. You can either watch him from the back or watch him from the side. The bleachers are right there, and he could only have been 20 feet from the sideline, like where he was setting up these drills. So that's where I went the first time, and. I missed it. Like as soon as I was sitting down and sort of getting my camera ready, like Gerald McCoy like runs a drill and like there's not a lot of space between the bleachers and the end of the field, and so he runs a drill full speed, and as he's slowing down, he ends up like stopping like 2 feet in front of the bleachers. There's a little kid there, and he gives him like a little high five, and turns around and goes back to the drill. I'm like. That happened like 5 feet from me, and I'm like I'm trying to get my camera ready. I'm like but. Yeah, at one point when I was in the end zone, taking a lot of videos for the red zone, Mike Evans just, it was after that, and they were doing some installs. He just walks over and sits down, just like chilling. 2 rows. Yeah, just 2 rows in front of me. Yeah, just blip plop.
Yeah, so, I mean, it looked like there was the bleachers, and then it looked like there was like a bolster or something kind of on the front of the bleachers. Like that's what it looked like he was sitting on.
Right.
Some sort of red thing, and
yeah.
Go ahead.
That's just the first row.
Okay.
Of the bleachers because like I said, it is so close. The bleachers are so close to the field. It's just there for the players' protection.
Sure.
At first I was like, oh, maybe it's like preferred seating or possibly handicap seating. And then I sort of noticed like, no, when these guys going full speed and they get knocked or pushed out of bounds, they only got, 15 feet, 20 feet before they start hitting immovable metal bleachers, aluminum bleachers. So they've put pads along the front row of all the bleachers. And, as far as fans are, you're not allowed to sit there.
Hey, Mike Evans, why is your knee blown out and your season is over here in training camp or OTS?
Yeah.
Well, a bleacher got me.
Yeah, bleachers are too close.
Right.
So, yeah, that wouldn't sit well. But, yeah, Mike Evans was there, and, you saw this father-son sort of stand up quickly. Who were in the end zone.
You got a video of this. Yeah, I saw this video. Yeah.
because I saw him kind of come over, and I hear him like, "Hey, like try to get in for a picture." I'm like, "Okay, Pop, let's take a video of this." And the kid sort of like sneak attacks him from behind. He's ninja.
Right.
Like Mike can't see him.
He's
right
like
behind
slowly coming down like one bleacher at a time, scooching on his butt as he's going down.
Yeah, like a new puppy, like trying to figure out the stairs. And then he sort of taps on the shoulder, and he's like, "Can I get a picture?" And Mike's like, "Yeah," and he turns around and takes a picture. And then other kids have noticed now that Mike is sitting basically in the stands.
Right.
So you can see him start to pop up, and they're making their way towards Mike. And the first couple of kids to get there, you can tell they're asking for the autograph. He has a pen. He's sort of like tugging on his shirt. Mike's like, "No, after practice." And he did. He signed for a long time after practice. But then he's like, no.
Wait. You mean Mike's not going to stop practice to turn around and sign autographs?
Right. Well, you are sitting in the bleachers, man.
You are there,
It's you've done this to yourself, Evans. And then he quickly realized that this was probably not the best idea, and he stood up and took a few steps and sort of got back and into the mix with the players. But that's how close and intimate it was. I could hear Buckner coaching the guys up because it was like he was across the living room from me, like at anybody's house. It was.
So let me ask you about that, because there was one video that went out from rookie minicamp of Buckner talking to Vita Vea and a couple of the other guys, and he was coaching Vita Vea on something, and I just remember sitting here watching. Man, in 45 seconds, I just learned more about defensive line maneuvering than I ever learned in the 4.5 years that I played. Coming up in school and really since then, was there anything that you picked up on just as you were listening to him coach, or could you hear him that well? That kind of maybe stuck out to you as far as how he was coaching the guys, or?
I can't say that because unfortunately I was right next to the speaker system. Like the speaker system was just as close to me as it was to Buckner.
Okay.
So it's sort of you could make out every third word type of deal. But what I did find really interesting, and I didn't even tweet about it, and it was something I thought of like after I left, is when they start a drill, like McCoy's always all the drills, you can kind of tell the pecking order as far as the roster goes, because the starters always go first. I don't know if it's a competition thing where it's like, hey, guess what? You're fourth in line today, but McCoy's first, then Bo Allen, and this is just the DT's working, defensive tackle. So it was the starters. But before every exercise, Buckner would use McCoy and show everybody what he like. This is what we're trying to get accomplished in this drill, And then him and McCoy would sort of have a conversation. You could see him like McCoy moving his hands on Buckner's body, and then they'd actually sort of run the drill at like a quarter speed, and then McCoy, and then McCoy would run it against Buckner, and he'd turn around and Allen would run against McCoy, and then you could just sort of see the chain that McCoy's like all in on Buckner's coaching style.
Is he?
Like there's no bad body language, or you could almost feel how happy he is for being coached up like this, and he is almost immediately taking what he gets from Buckner and then looking at the rest of the DTs and making sure that they get it as well. So it's almost sort of like I don't want to say there's two coaches, but McCoy's been in the league. Obviously, he gets it. He's had 13 defensive line coaches, so but it's not where sort of last year you heard him. Well, I'm a good soldier. I just do what I'm told. Like he's in it, and he's like okay, we want to do this. What if I try this? Buckner's like, okay, we do this. And they come sort of like, you feel like it's a compromise, like, yeah, that's what it's like a little melding of the mind. And then they sort of both turn around and look at the other DTs and go, this is what we're doing.
Right.
So it was exciting to see. I could be totally wrong.
Yeah,
but it was cool.
Not to rehash old conversations, but what you just described to a T is what's called leading from the second chair. But moving off of that, I do have a question about that. Something that we didn't talk about in our podcast yesterday, Ren. But you and I were talking with a member of the media who was kind of describing something that really I don't think was on camera for fans to see about JPP.
Right.
And,
yeah, it wasn't on camera.
Right. So my question for you, I'll tell you my question first, and then we'll tell what we were told. My question for you is, so you saw this interaction between Buckner and McCoy. Did you notice any interactions between Buckner and JPP? And the impetus for this is what we were told yesterday. It's before practice yesterday. He's answering the media questions, mostly why weren't you here for OTAs? What was going on? And one of the questions that was asked to him, I believe it was by Jenna Lane, was, have you been in contact with Coach Buckner? And what they, he was, they were saying that JPP was very gregarious. He was happy. He was kind of upbeat. He was friendly. He was wordy. And when he was asked this question by Jenna Lane, they were saying kind of body language wise, like his head went down a little bit, his voice got, and he just kind of went partially or sort of, or
somewhat a little bit,
or something like that. And then they just kind of said he looked away.
Yeah, that was the end of answering that question.
Right. And you're like, is there maybe something there? We don't know. Now, I'm not trying to start a rumor. I'm not trying to start gossip. It just, that's what was conveyed to us. And,
it also sort of like throws in that speculation is when you go to Buccaneers.com and you watch the JPP interview, that question's not there.
Right.
It's cut out of the video. So you're like, but if listeners want to know exactly what was said, if you follow Buccaneers communications on Twitter, and they have a transcript of everything, of all the interviews for that day, and they put it out, every time there's an interview, and it's there, like the transcript of the question and the answer is there, and it is real short. Yeah. Now, getting to your question is like, so what did I notice today?
Because the question really is this just some weird, thing that people could use to start a rumor, or is there any teeth to it? Like, did you see any evidence of that one way or the other today?
Right. Unfortunately, I would like to be able to say, it's all blown over, which it is actually, but nothing I saw today, and it's not the reason. It's not because there's nothing I can say about it, because Buckner was working with the DTs today, and his assistant was working with the DNs, and they work on different drills, because it's a different, even though they all play the defensive line, you're doing different things of the defensive end and a defensive tackle. Right. So the person that was closest to me was Buckner and the DTs, and behind them, I'd have to look through that mass of sea of guys. But, the D-line assistant was working with the DNs today.
All right, so let's see if we can't create something here to spin out there for the So Buckner and JPP have the thing, they have beef, and so Buckner's refusing to coach the DNs. Is that what we're going to go with?
No, that's not what we're going to
go with. For the people out there listening who can't see, my sarcastic face is blazing right now. That is not something we're running with. I just thought you were out in the sun today. I was out in the sun all day yesterday, and I've got a little bit of blistering on my nose. Anyway.
Oh, really?
I do.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's an interesting nugget. It's something to throw out there, but as far as, like, trying to start a rumor, absolutely not, and because there's absolutely no evidence to it. We didn't get to see his reaction in person because it's not in the video. You can read what he said. It was definitely his shortest answer to any of the questions, but, if you want to keep an eye on it, I am, but I think it's just one of those things like it's going to go away very quickly, sort of like JPP not showing up for OTAs. Right. It's already sort of gone away, and by training camp, no one's even going to remember it.
Earlier today, and this is earlier tonight, I got to kind of be a little bit of an impromptu deal on our friend Gene's podcast, Buck What You Heard, and I was talking to Ples, his co-host, and wait, where's I going with this?
I don't know.
Oh.
Rumor?
Rumor? Yeah, I don't know. Something. Anyway, moving on. I'll probably edit this part out. Maybe not. I don't know. I might not edit this episode at all. If it comes to me,
see.
If it comes back to me. It was something I said that had to do with this whole thing. Yeah, I don't remember what it was. Oh, yeah. No, I remember now. Listen,
there it is.
Here's the deal. We play the Saints week 1. The first time JPP goes out and sacks Drew Brees in week 1, all of this goes away.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's,
anyway.
yeah.
All right, so you got Buckner. You were listening to him, trying to eavesdrop on his conversation, catching one out of every 3 words. Didn't see the DN, or at least they're a little bit further away, the DNs. So take us through, give us the highlights of training camp. What stood out to you? What jumped out to you? What didn't jump out to you? What'd you see? What are the technical things I think that our fans would be interested in?
Well, I guess the first thing is, yesterday we reported that when, the first drill after exercises yesterday, the first sort of team-on-team drill was a 1-minute offense. And Vernon was in slot, and Davis was outside with Brett being outside. Today, we were kind of we were talking to a media member. We're kind of what happened to Ryan Smith? He's been here 2 years. What's going on? Today he was there. So I don't know. I don't even remember seeing him yesterday.
He was there
so I don't know.
in place of Davis?
He was in Davis's spot. So when they went to nickel today, running with the ones was Ryan Smith with Grimes on the other side and Hargraves, in the nickel slot. So
were they still doing the thing where Hargraves was out on the outside for base?
They didn't run a lot of base today because they ran so many red zone. I mean, it was a ton of red zone. They had a real quick sort of 11 on 11s at midfield, and then I think they read red zone 4 different times, 7 on 7s, 11 on 11s, on both ends of the field. Yeah.
I'm okay with that because last year, and I said this in preseason, and I think he kind of poo-pooed me a little bit, was I'm worried about their red zone deal. They can move the ball between the 20s, no problem. It's the red zone that they seem to have problems putting finishing the drive, putting the thing in there. And I think I mentioned that the preseason, you're like, we'll worry about that when it gets to the season. And then it got to the season, and I think you were like, "Yeah, that's a worry." So
that is a worry.
The idea that they're hammering on that right now, and they're practicing a ton of goal line, because I think from a lot of the videos I saw, most of them looked like they were goal line, and it was like, "Hey, look, the offense is scoring. That's good."
Yeah, it was close. It wasn't goal line, and they weren't because it wasn't bigs on bigs, because there's really no reason to do it because contact is limited and they're not wearing pads. But it was red zone. They were inside the 20. They were taking snaps from the 18, the 15, the 7, and and they're mostly running pass plays. They'd run a few run plays, 1 or 2, and then they'd run 8 pass plays because there's no point to running run plays.
Right.
But this was scripted. I mean, if you watch Dirk Cutter's interview the day we went, which was before practice, he said that tomorrow we're going to run a bunch of red zone. So this was just happened to be install red zone day, and that's what happened. So, but yeah, for me it was cool because Jameis, they sort of split it up where they put Griffin and Allen down on one end. And then down on the end where the bleachers were, it was Fitzpatrick and Jameis a lot of the time. So,
is there anything to read into that? That it's Jameis and Fitzy teaming up, and then Griffin and Allen?
I would say that as far quote unquote the depth chart, that doesn't mean anything in preseason. Like I said earlier, it's sort of the starters go first in the positional drills.
Right.
I would say Fitz is number 2.
Yeah.
And I think Fitz will stay number 2. I know we made the argument last year that if you just took the preseason training camp, what we saw of all the training camp practices last year, Griffin crushed Fitzpatrick.
Right.
But it was more of Fitzpatrick looking terrible than it was Griffin looking great. And Fitzpatrick looks much better as of right now than he did at this time last year.
Right.
So, is there going to be of course there's going to be competition. They're going to keep 2 quarterbacks, they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks. But as of right now,
I think that's a big question. A big question.
2 and 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Somebody will ask it. Somebody will ask it during training camp for sure.
Yeah.
And we'll find out. But that's what I would say for sure, that Fitz is number 2 as far as the depth chart. I mean, he won 2 out of 3 games. What more do you want?
3 out of 3.
3 out of 3. Quit cursing our quarterback.
Jerk.
Try that.
Yeah.
So
stop shaving your beard.
What else did pop up?
Let me ask you this. because yesterday a person that I missed altogether was MJ Stewart. I didn't see a thing out of him yesterday.
Right.
Did we see anything about him today? Like, what's his deal?
No. I mean,
That's it. He's a bust.
He's a bust.
Second round draft pick. He's a bust. Him and Roberto Aguayo.
Near the end of
Firelight.
Near the end of the it was the last drill of practice when they went 11 on 11s and it wasn't red zone.
Uh-huh.
He had a nice diving where he batted the ball away.
Cool. Right.
And he almost came up with it, but on the 7-on-7s, it's in the 11-on-11s, the red zone. It all happens so quick, and I'm sort of I'm recording, then I'm putting the phone down, and then like the next play's happening. Like the pace is much more quicker than the pace of a game. So, as long as if it's not like a strip fumble or a pickoff or a spectacular catch, you're not really sure who's doing what. So it's not that he didn't make any plays. It's just in underwear football, it's got to be a splash play. So it's got to be pick, or he picks up a fumble, or he breaks up a pass. And I saw him break up a pass today. Like today, like Davis, who like I was all like, oh my god, look at this guy on the day we went. Didn't see him today. He was out there. I mean, I saw him lining up, but as far as like a play, didn't see it. Vernon
flash.
showed up again. No, Vernon showed up again today. Whitehead, another draft pick, the 4th rounder, I believe. He made a play. Honestly,
that's a name that I don't actually hear a ton about.
Yeah, you don't, because he's a safety, and we already have starting safeties.
Yeah.
But so we'll see how these guys work out. They look good. It was really the offense's day, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a lot. If they caught the pass, it was a touchdown. It wasn't a lot of the ball's at the 50. Okay, they catch a pass 10 yards. All right, let's line up and do it again. If they caught the pass, it was 10 yards. It was a touchdown. So it just felt like the offense sort of won the day today. So
sure.
Yeah, that was it. O.J. Howard showed up again. I don't know.
Yeah, he had a couple nice plays yesterday. I saw when I was there. So. We didn't. I think we talked about that yesterday, but so he showed up again today. Sorry.
Showed up. Too long. One like medium catch with another long run, and then they schemed him open. One play was like I think it was like maybe the second to last play of the whole entire day, and he broke free. That kid, Wilson, Sean Wilson, running back from Duke. He's electric, man. Every time he gets the ball, he seems to be, doing better than everybody else, just about. Or I shouldn't say he was doing better than everybody else, but he's making people miss. Like, you notice him for sure. You notice him.
That's one of those things that we've talked about a few times. Actually, I was just talking about it with Gene and Plus on their show. To go back to that conversation about the quarterbacks of how many are you going to keep, that same conversation you have to have about the running backs.
For sure.
Because just a few years ago, we only kept 3 on the active roster, and only 2 were active for game day.
Right.
It's just been in the last couple of years that we've had more than that, and I think a lot of that just had to do with the uncertainty with Martin. And stuff. And last year we kept 4 on the active roster, and I think all 4 were active for game day. But those guys had to turn out to be special teams players. So, you look, Peyton Barber's most certainly going to make the team. Rojo is definitely going to make the team. I think that really throws into a sharp question of Charles Sims, who, by the way, what I saw from Charles Sims yesterday, I was highly impressed. Like, he looked like a different guy without Doug Martin around him, or living in Doug Martin's shadow. It was always you could never talk about Chuck Sims without he's the third down back to Doug Martin's 1 and 2. He seemed like,
and
I don't want to
still
say
going to be
very possible, but that running back spot, there's going to be roster spot issues, and if this kid, Wilson, is flashing and they're going to want to keep him around the team, it'll be interesting to watch, I think, to see what happens with him throughout the course of training camp.
I agree. Like, if they keep 4 running backs, I think he makes it. And, either Sims or Rodgers. And if I had to place a bet now, I would say Rodgers doesn't make the team.
Yeah.
And, we talked a little bit about it, yesterday. I'm not sure if we talked about it on the pod, but once again, it's underwear football, but, guys pop, you notice guys flash.
Uh-huh.
And if he flashes as much as he does, if he flashes as much in training camp and then in preseason games as he does, here in OTAs and minicamp,
right.
He's basically going to force the Bucs to put him on the roster because he won't survive the practice squad.
Yeah, which, by the way, is what happened last year with Luke Stalker and Anthony Auclair.
Right.
It's not that Auclair beat out Stalker or that Stalker all of a sudden couldn't play anymore. It's just they were limited on roster spots. Auclair was going to get snatched up, and they liked him enough. He was the future, quote unquote, for them, so they needed to save him, and the only thing they could do to make that happen was to let Stalker go. It happens. Those things happen. Is all
that move was more of protecting Auclair than it was getting rid of Stalker.
Right.
Is what it
probably
was.
Not that Stalker did anything wrong. It was more about, as you just said, protecting Auclair. So we could wind up seeing a very similar thing, with this kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's see what else popped. Like I said, the quarterbacks just. Oh, I got 2 little things. One, it looked like Ryan Griffin was wearing a GoPro in his face mask today.
Really?
Yeah, he had some kind of battery pack strapped to the back of his helmet and some little camera in the front. I was hoping he would come over and sign autographs because even though we were close to the field and my camera does have some zoom on it, it doesn't have that type of zoom where it could pick up and sort of get a good picture of it. So I kind of let that lie. But when the Bucs at the end of practice, when it wasn't red zone and the Bucs ran the ball behind the Jensen Alley Donovan side, and Donovan Smith did practice today.
He did.
Yes, he did. He did. So Donovan Smith did practice today. They were getting big chunks of yardage, and not big he would have been down there, but since they're not tackling the ground, the guy just two-hand touched him or whatever, and he just keeps running and he's in the end zone. Well, you can do that every day. No one near these guys. They were moving people, and some of it was scheme, and some of it was a little bit misdirection. But for 3 and it didn't matter who was touching the ball. It was Rodgers or Sims or Barber or Rojo. When they went, to the left side of that line, they had space to do some damage, and it was. Once again, on where football we get super excited, but it was I was wow, right. Because normally. They touch the guy, he gets 2 yards, and they touch the guy, and, quote unquote, he's down, but he'll run for another 20.
So, how did the right side of the line look? Anything?
Like it did, just what you expect. It's fine. There's nothing to be worried about. Uh-huh. It's just that those sort of string of plays on the left side stood out.
Right. Who was playing the right side of the line today? Because yesterday we saw, I think it was Beninock at the guard spot, and then Wester was in the tackle. Was that the same today?
Same today. Yeah, same today. I saw J.R. Sweezy. He was in the building. First time I noticed him. But obviously he didn't practice, but he was there. Everybody's there. Like I said, running so much red zone, it had to be sort of a defensive play to make it pop. But that's kind of how it went. Another install day. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, anything else as we kind of round this out then? So tomorrow, which is the last day of mandatory minicamp before everything shuts down for 6 weeks until training camp. Tomorrow is a closed day, so you won't be in there. As far as I understand, the media guys won't be in there.
Nobody's in
None
there.
of us are, except for the people who are there, are going to know what happens. So as far as we're concerned, this is kind of the end of minicamp. So what are your – I know we have talked about on this show, or at least for me, I'm waiting until week 6 to what I have said is I'm waiting till week 6 to judge the quality of our offseason acquisitions.
Right.
Whether it's free agents that we've signed or guys we brought back or the draft picks.
Right.
What I realized kind of coming home yesterday, like when I had a chance to digest it and had that nice little 3.5 hour drive back from Tampa to Jacksonville, man, I'm excited for football.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to get football back, and I'm a little pissed that it's still as far away as it is. But man, I'm super, super excited for football. But there's still pieces to go. There's still training camp to go. So,
right.
What are you got to be there both days.
Right.
What are you leaving minicamp with as you look, kind of at these next 6 weeks and then moving into training camp?
I would have to say that the juice and sort of the competition level, it just seems to be there. Like, it's like they have their edge back. It's been ratcheted up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The intensity. It's a different vibe for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And not like last year. It seemed like when we look back now, it seemed like the fans had all the juice and the team didn't, And this year it seems
about last year.
Yeah, last year. This year it seems to be flipped. It's like the team has the juice. The fans are like, "Yeah, you did this to me last year. We'll hang on a second. Like we'll wait and see." But you know
what? Given my druthers, I'd rather it be that way.
Yeah,
than the way it was last year.
Yeah. But I guess what I've taken away from these 2 days is it just feels like they're further ahead.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like the competition's greater. The rookies don't look like they're lost. As far as an idiot fan sitting in the stands can tell.
Sure.
Buccaneer seems like as invigorated the McCoy, and everyone seems to be all in on his coaching, because when he talks, like there's no like walking around or grabbing a water bottle. Like everyone watches him. Like when he's talking to the guys, they're listening.
Right.
So
let me ask you this, because this question was asked of me, and I honestly didn't have an answer because I wasn't watching. Todd Monken, he's the new walk-around offensive coordinator. That's his full-time spot now.
Right.
I saw him on the field yesterday.
Right.
But that's as far as I can take that statement. Did you see anything else out of him today? Did notice him at all? No.
I didn't, but I wasn't looking for him either.
Sure.
Dirk Cutter still calls the plays.
Right.
Still did. Did day one of minicamp, did day two of minicamp. Now, it's pretty basic stuff, but they did throw a wrinkle in here and there, and since Monken has more say in sort of the offensive game plan, you would like to think, hey, maybe that's something Monken thought up. Mm-hmm. But it's install. Like these are the playbook. There's no sort of like, okay, we've studied the tape of Carolina, so we're going to change this play a little bit because it's going to work better, and you see it on Sunday like, wow, I've never seen that before. There's none of that stuff. This is the entire playbook that they're installing. So the only thing that Monken, I guess, could, besides, coaching guys, as far as what you've seen a change in the offense being, it's already been implemented. Like it's already been put into the playbook, and there's no way to tell like, hey, is this like a Cutter scheme or a Monken scheme? Now we have seen a lot of things that a lot of fans talked about last year, like, hey, why don't we put Deshaun in the slot? Hey, Godwin needs more time with the ones. Like he should, it should be Evans, Jackson, Godwin. Hey, can somebody play press man, please? Hey, things like we've seen all of this a lot. Just about everything you complained about, as far as scheme wise, has been fixed. Like there's no stunts, there's no twists, there's no playing 7, 8, 10 yards off the ball. Guys are playing press man. There's no Deshaun Jackson strictly outside and just running go routes all night long. I saw Rojo split out wide today it's not a 4 wide receiver set because he's a running back, but it was 3 wide receiver, and he was the outside guy on one side. So they're installing everything, but there has been changes from last year, but there's no way to be able to tell, like, hey, this is Monken's idea of putting Deshaun in the slot, or this is Monken's idea of getting Godwin first team reps. We just don't know.
All right. Well, we'll see how this unfolds. We've got about 6 weeks till training camp opens. At this point, is it 6? Yeah, it sounds about right. It's about 6. No Hard Knocks this year. We're not going to see our boys on HBO, at least not this particular group of boys.
I am not disappointed by that, but once again, I'm going to get to see them every day they practice. So
yeah, I mean, I learned a lot about the team. It was cool to see the behind the scenes stuff. I love the content that we got last year from Hard Knocks. But if that has anything to do with what happened last year, if it really is that distraction or anything like that, then it's just not worth it. But I will miss not getting to see those behind the scene things, the things you just never get to see. It's just That's the things we never get to see. So things that even our own media guys, the guys that are there in the building every day, they really don't ever get to see these things. So
I remember that narrative about the media guys were upset because they thought Hard Knocks didn't get all the scoops,
right?
And all the inside coverage. Now, tell me what you think about this. And this just sort of popped in my head when you were talking about Hard Knocks. Did you feel, now looking back on it, that the Buccaneers were trying to put on a good face for the Hard Knocks crew and the NFL in general, as in like, hey, look, we're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as sort of like being a great host instead of just like, we're here to do our jobs and you guys sort of have to work around us. It kind of felt like the Bucs were working around Hard Knocks to accommodate them when really it should have been the other way around.
Looking back on it, and when I say the Bucs here, I want to clarify, I do not actually mean the players or the coaches. I mean the organization and the staff of the organization. Right. I feel like they said, okay, Hard Knocks is coming in. Yes, we're going to play good host. And so they assigned, certain people to be good hosts and to help them out and be accommodating and do that. Hey, we're going to cooperate with what these guys are wanting us to do, and anything they want, let's try to make it happen for them so they can get what they need. So I feel like, yes, they did that. Honestly, it's probably the right thing to do in that situation. As long as it doesn't involve the players, but obviously you're going to have cameras around, and we saw that. Do you really think that Chris Baker in any other form of his life is going to go out and hump a tree? If
he's just there with his teammates without a camera on him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he does. I don't know. I don't know Chris Baker as a person, but, is Gerald McCoy going to be hamming it up, when they're talking about new rule changes? I don't know.
Can you do this? How about this? This loud?
Yeah.
Can you do that? Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it felt like the Bucs were trying to. Now looking back on it, you could make the argument the Bucs felt like they were putting on a show, like they're trying to be entertaining.
Yeah.
Instead of just going about their business and leaving it up to HBO to make it entertaining.
And I mean, and that's part of what the guys hamming it up for the camera. That's what people didn't want when Hard Knocks, got announced, and it's the team vehemently denied that guys were hamming it up, and the team vehemently denied that Hard Knocks had any negative effect on the team, and
I would the same as vehement. Oh, now you made me mess
there
up.
You go. I would say this, and here's I believe the team, in as much as the team had control over Hard Knocks not affecting the team, I think they did a really good job there. But there is no way you can control the inner thoughts or the inner dialogue of any player who's on TV, who sees a camera turning around. Right. You just can't do that. So you can coach them, you can talk to them, but at some point they're the ones who actually take over in that driving seat. So as far as the organization is concerned, I feel like they probably handled it as best as they could. Just immaturity of the players who didn't. And, I'm not going to blame Hard Knocks on the effects of last year.
Oh, No,
it's one of those. I'm not going to blame it on it, but it didn't help.
Yeah,
didn't
help.
So
that's for sure. That's for shizzle.
But yeah. All right, man. All right. Well, I would give you my final thoughts, but I wasn't there today. So.
All right.
There we go.
Final thoughts for me, just to finish up. Let's get some banners and some logo tagging on that indoor facility. I know it's not supposed to be open for the public today, but let's spruce it up a bit.
Yeah, you know what they could do is on those big glass windows, they could put the
picture
the decal.
Of my face.
Yeah, put a picture of your face. The decal. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football. Put the like the decal up there, but like it's got all the holes in it, so you can like if you're inside you can see out, but if you're outside you just see the image.
Right.
They could put that across all the windows.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, we'll do that. Hey, listen, guys, this is part of our off-season tour. It is, we are entering in these next couple of weeks where it's what we call the long, dark night of football. I've said it, I don't know, a handful of times today already. We've got a couple of episodes that are in the can that will be coming out over the course of these couple of weeks. We've got some fun things planned, some fun guests that we mentioned on the last pod. And some other things that are in the hopper to kind of get us through this last little bit as we turn the corner here in the offseason, turn the corner into training camp, into preseason, and eventually into the season come September. So lots and lots of fun stuff. So you guys make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, Podcast Addict, Podbean, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube, any of those places. You and I are going to be guesting on several other podcasts here over the next month. Which will be fun. So you guys make sure you be on the lookout for that. We'll let you know as soon as those are released. Another thing you guys can do, if you guys want to hook up here with the show, you want to kick back to the show a little bit, you can check out our Patreon page. We've got some really cool kickbacks, small recurring monthly donation, and you get some PewterCast swag. You get some fun other, things depending on what your level of involvement. So patreon.com/ThePewterCast. You guys make sure you go over there and check that out. And we would love to have you join us. Some exclusive content over there as well that is not coming out on the main podcast feed. So you guys definitely want to check that out as well. So with that, Ren, where can the good people out there find you on the internet?
Easiest and best ways to find me on Twitter at Ren Daxt, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football.
And if you guys want to get in touch with me, I am at Brent Allen Live across all the social media platforms. And you can hit me up at the show as well, the PewterCast, at the PewterCast on Twitter, Facebook.com/ThePewterCast over there. Or if you're a little more long-winded than the 280 characters, shoot us an email to thepewtercast@gmail.com. We do respond to all forms of feedback, and it's one of the more fun aspects of being a part of this Bucs fan community. And until next time, for Ren Daxt, my good buddy, I'm Brent Allen saying, go Bucs.